Hi, it's Dan from mfresearch.com. This is a competitive wrap-up for the downtown Indianapolis apartment market. And it's a wrap-up in that this is the one piece that I have that deals with both supply and demand. So looking at the market down here, we can see over the past, since 2008, vacancy had been pretty stable. There was kind of a peak here in the 13, 14, 15 range. Well, guess why? There was 2,242 units delivered during that period. So we got a bit of a spike there, and it started to recover since then. You can see that spike in delivery. Rent was going pretty nicely through that time, and that has kind of put a break, at least in 2016, on the rent growth. You see that happen right here as well. That rent growth comes down to practically nothing in 2016. But in general, I would say that the market has seemed enthusiastic. They're paying pretty high rents. They've absorbed what's been there, and I think as a niche product, this market appears to be at least stable and probably really fairly described as modestly strong down there. So pretty good. I think that's where it is right now. Now, taking a look at where it's going in the future, let me start with the demand piece. That's down here. So looking back historically, here's some of the data that drives this. This is the pieces coming in. We can see renter-occupied housing units between the historical perspective from 2010 to 2016, it grew at about 203 units annually. But going forward, they're projecting it to be just under 150 units going in terms of the growth annually of renter-occupied housing units. Another measure of demand growth or demand and absorption was just the absorption number. So this is what the market down there had been absorbing over from 2010 to 2016. So I think demand-wise, they can probably absorb something in the 200, maybe to 400 range. That's probably about right in terms of what the market's able to absorb. Now, on the supply side, we come back up here, take a look, and you see here's the deliveries coming in here from 2000 to 2016. They delivered about 240 units annually down there. That increased from 2010 to 16. That number went up to 535. Okay, I'm expecting it'll kind of drop back to a more normal state going after 2019. But here's my big concern: this 1,295 units per year that's coming in over the next 2 years. That's a little over 2,500 units total that are scheduled, that are right now in the construction pipeline or in the planning pipeline. I think that's a problem. I think that the delivery of all that number of units will destabilize this market. We saw that even just the delivery of 535 units was tough for this market to absorb. So I think that it has to stay a niche product. And if it tries to go outside of that, and by niche I mean something that's in the, maybe 4, 5, 6% range of the total units in all of the greater Indianapolis metro market. But if it starts to move out of that and starts to move to become a mainstream product, maybe at say 10% of the market, I think they're going to have a real problem. Here are the units that I see that are in the planning and construction pipeline. So that's kind of what I've got there. That's the 2,589 units that I was looking for a minute ago. But here's the big concept that I want to get across here is just because you can rent, a certain number of units at a certain level doesn't mean you can rent a much larger number of units at that same price. So it's pretty easy to find your first 2,000 people who will pay, say, $1,700. This is just a demonstration graph. I'm not driving these numbers here with anything. It's just to demonstrate a concept. You can find the first 2,000 people who will pay a real high rent, but it gets harder as you go out and try to get more people. You have to start lowering the price, and at some point, this curve starts to accelerate down, and you do some real damage. And I think the big experiment that's kind of playing out in the Indianapolis downtown apartment market is when does this curve really start to bend down? Okay, and my concern would be that with about 10,000 units, getting close to 10,000 units down there in a couple years, they may find out that it had a pretty serious bend down in terms of what they're going to be able to get. That would make it an extremely competitive market. So that would be my thought about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for taking a minute to watch the video. Have a great day.